I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. Tired of the madness, done with the sadness. Gonna break free and be unleashed.
Hello. This week we're calling out another leash. Shocker. I don't know what's wrong.
What we do.
It's a performance trap, and they kind of all are. But this is the one that says you can be different, and you can be unique. You can be you, but only after you've been successful. Only after we approve. Only then, because society loves quirky, it loves unique, but only once it's making money. And until then, you're just too much, too weird, too intense, too sensitive, too just not fitting in. And it's powerful because it's enforced primarily by the people around you to keep you quiet, invisible, and supposedly safe.
Yeah. And it's not just about a few quirky outliers. This is about how our entire culture trains people to hide and to be small. If you're not already successful, different feels dangerous to people. So you get the judgmental side eye, you get dismissed in group conversations, or you get told to calm down, tone it down, wait your turn, all those kinds of things. And that waiting, that's the leash. It keeps you from performing, or it keeps you performing what someone else's version of acceptable is, while your real self fades further into the background.
Wow. Yeah. You're listening to Unleashed AF, the podcast that rips off the mask, exposes the leash, and challenges you to lead with your full power. I'm Deidre Beecham. And I'm a power voice catalyst for women done with nice girl training. I left a religious cult, came out after 20 years of marriage, and rewired my brain, my body, and my soul to reclaim my voice. And now I help women like you do the same.
That's right. And I'm Jenny Batting, certified hypnotherapist, coach, and human factors engineer. And most importantly, liberator of your subconscious superpowers. As you can see very clearly.
It's set right there.
That's proof.
It's proof. If it says it, it must be true.
Exactly. It's on the internet. But what I do is I help people understand and unleash what's already inside them so that they can stop sabotaging and start soaring. And together, we're here to strip back the BS, call out the leashes, and explore what it really means to be free. Your body and your voice and your damn life. So if you love what we're about, hit follow, subscribe, like, share, all those things. Drop your thoughts in the comments, or you can go to unleashedafpodcast.com. On the WWJDD page there, you can leave comments or suggestions or ideas for us there in terms of future topics, things you'd like to hear us talk about, or just feedback. So we are here for the truth, for the rebellion, and for your authentic, unleashed life.
Yeah. And when we were talking about doing this show, this topic, one of the first things I thought of was really what we're really talking about is having authenticity.
Yeah.
And being true to your authentic self.
Yeah.
But what happens if you are? I mean, because this happens when we're young, when we're young, especially those of us that are a little bit more quirky than others, like Jenny and myself. I'll speak for myself, and I was a quirky kid. I would run around with I have young pictures of myself, videos of myself, running around with lamp shades on my head. Like I just grab a lampshade and put it on my head and start singing. I used to sing the Cat Chow commercial on the steps with my lampshade on. Spirulina, ciao, 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 ciao.
So what was
And
the purpose of the lampshade? I mean, was it hiding your
I
face or was
like
it
things on my head, evidently. I was always putting
no?
buckets on my head and
Okay.
all kinds of I like things on my head. And I'm sure my parents laughed and I was all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true for a
Um,
lot of kids.
but then what happens, right? Suddenly you're in school and you can't act like that.
Nope.
Don't
Don't
act
be
like that.
taking the lampshade off a
That's
lamp in school running around.
doing that,
It's not going to end well.
right? It's all about rules and sitting down.
Conformity.
Oh, good word, conformity,
Yeah.
right? And then what happens if you try to rebel against that, even just a little bit? There's labeling, right? I was labeled a tomboy. I used to climb up trees and, oh, you're a tomboy, and it wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. What's the word?
Derogatory.
No, it was meant to be derogatory.
Oh.
It wasn't meant to be a compliment. It wasn't meant to be a compliment.
Right.
Oh, you're just a tomboy. Well, I was a girl. Now I'm a tomboy. That's not meant to say, oh, you're doing something awesome. That's to say you're not matching who you are, little girl.
Mm-hmm. And that brings up a good question. Who the hell came up with the phrase tomboy? That's so
right.
redundant.
That is a really good question. I have no idea.
Like,
I have no idea. It's a great question. I don't know where tomboy came from. We need, what we need? We need an assistant that looks shit up for us when we're on the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look this up for us.
Dude.
Yeah. And so, and then as a kid, right, what happens when you are trying to be authentic? Let's say you're in school age, and whether you're at home or you're in school, what happens?
You get in trouble.
You get in trouble, right? I remember one time in school, I can't remember what happened. We did something wrong, and there were about 6 of us that got in trouble, and we had to go to the back of the room and hold our arms out. I'm sure we were being difficult, right? Because we were just being ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher put encyclopedias in our hands, and we had to stretch our arms out, and each of us had an encyclopedia. If you dropped it, you got another one added on. It was a fun school. Right? I mean, it's crazy. And the things that happen to kids in school. My friend, she was out there holding her encyclopedias, and she dislocated her shoulder because it's just part of her makeup. She can't handle stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And her arm went out of socket, and the teacher was furious and came and she's crying, and she's like, "You put another encyclopedia." And I'm like, "Oh my God, she can't." Anyway, we both got in trouble. I got spanked. This is before corporal punishment was, gotten rid of. But yeah, and so you learn, oh my gosh, if I am myself, this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time, and some people are able to just go, hell with that. I'm just going to be myself. Maybe they have, super supportive parents who are just all about them being themselves when they're at home or whatever.
Lots of freedom.
Right. But a lot of us didn't have that. So you get to be an adult, and the idea of stepping outside the box and being yourself is maybe you don't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that kind of reminds me of some of the stuff that I was finding this week as I was researching this topic and thinking about it. The idea of stepping out and being different or unique is scary, I think, from the very root of what causes us to feel that need to assimilate or be like others. It's that core concern of safety, just our physical safety. Because if you blend in, if you do as the others do and stay in line and don't jump out of line and, stay within the lines when you're coloring and all that other stuff, then you're safer. Even in terms of, like blending in almost like camouflage or something, animals and even humans, when they go into the wild, if there's camouflage, you're going to be safer. So that's like when you dig deep, deep, deep down into where these things come from, that's, I think, at the core of it, is it becomes a safety thing. And we talked about that even a little bit when we first started talking about shame and how shame kind of influenced things, or why it was such a powerful tool to use.
Right. And I understand that concept, and that could be part of our DNA, from caveman period. And I
Mm-hmm.
get that. But at some point, we have decisions to make. We have decisions to make about whether we are going to be, do we feel safe enough? Maybe that's it. Do we feel safe enough to step out and go, but I really want to be me.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to me to be me. And that is, I think that's important. I hadn't thought about it until just now, that safety is such a huge part of it. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to be authentic to yourself. Because I think we all, I'm hoping, I know I did. I'm hoping that we all get to that point where we're like, okay, I'm either going to, I can keep going down this road and make everybody happy and appease other people and make sure that I'm fitting in and I'm not stepping out of the lines, and make everybody else happy and calm everybody else's nervous system, which is what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're adjusting yourself to calm other people's nervous system.
Right.
Or am I going to stop focusing on that and start focusing on me and loving myself and caring more about what I think about what I'm doing? And am I going to focus on protecting my nervous system rather than
Mm-hmm.
everybody else's?
Yeah.
But that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. And it's not even because of the nervous system stuff. It's because of the repercussions of being authentic.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
suddenly, what are you wearing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Who do you think you are? I mean,
yeah. And can
all
I
that
tell
stuff.
you, when to rewind it a little bit to where you said stop, you know how my brain works. So my mind went to, all right, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. And I thought, well, how appropriate is that?
That's
My brain
awesome.
even went to the type of song and the lyrics.
That's perfect.
It makes sense for what we're talking about. For those who
That's
are
awesome.
younger, look up Humpty Dance, and that's where you'll see those
Do the
lyrics.
hump.
But that's where, I think a lot of people, a couple of maybe exceptions to the rule we were just talking about, of where it kind of comes from safety, that you feel like you need to comply or, be part of the like fitting in crowd. A couple of the examples that come to my mind that are different than that are either kids that feel like they need to rebel. So they're wanting to be different because there was no safety to start with, maybe in their household or whatever. So being like in the background or whatever, it didn't matter. They still got shit. So
Yeah,
no
just
change
going
in
along
safety for them.
with what you're saying. It's funny that you say that, because the kids that I saw growing up, because I went to a private school for 4 years, really
Mhm.
strict, right? So the people that I saw that did this, that were more of their authentic self, they were the people that had really strict parents at home, right? Like there was this one kid, she was minister's daughter,
Mm.
and their house was, the mother was incredibly accepting. Father was a preacher, kind of ruled the house. Just leave it there.
Mhm.
We've done a lot of episodes on this. So he's about religion and control. So he was really strict. And yet anytime he wasn't around, man, Mary Beth was a wild woman. Um, Mary Beth was wild. And really, she knew herself, and she knew she did not want anybody controlling her. And she was
Mm-hmm.
definitely her authentic self, and she was considered a problem child. She was
Mm-hmm.
considered a problem. She ended up going to Harvard. Where's that bug coming from? What's that? Um,
Come on, bug. Conform. We're
stop.
recording right now. Stay in your lane.
And this is a really I can't think of his name right now. You can tell me after you watch it and go, well, that's so and so, Deidre. I don't know why you didn't remember who this is, but there's a really cool short little video about authenticity and respecting yourself, which is where it really comes down to. You respecting people around you and disrespecting yourself, or you respecting yourself, and then allowing people in your life that respect you the way you respect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Hang on, let me pull this up. Where is this guy? Here we go. Oh, let me change the media presentation to this.
It's true. If you're authentic, you might lose some attachment relationships. That's going to be painful. But which pain would you rather have? The pain of being authentic and losing some friendships that were no friendships at all? Or the pain of losing yourself and all its implications and all its impacts on the body? This contest between attachment and authenticity can be a painful one, but you can decide which kind of pain you want.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his name. I've seen him on a few different podcasts and stuff, but I can never think of his name.
Oh, but I love that. Right? The pain of fitting into other people, or the pain of losing those people so that you can be authentic with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
for
it
sure.
is. That's one of the hardest things about being authentic, especially as an adult coming out as yourself. I'm not saying coming out like pride or
Right.
something, just
Right.
coming out and stepping into an authentic self, to
Mm-hmm.
your authentic self. The hardest part is that, yeah, you can lose family, you can lose friendships, um, you can lose all sorts of things that you thought were firm. And the moment you start being authentic, people start stepping back and going,
Yeah.
this doesn't fit into my nice little neat world.
Yeah. Well, and like he said, were they really friendships to begin with? It was superficial. When you step into being yourself, if that friendship doesn't continue, then it was based on a false pretense to begin with. So, at some point, one way or another, that was probably going to crumble. So,
Yeah.
but, another thing that I think, and sometimes what I mentioned earlier about like kids that need to rebel, might feel a little more comfortable stepping out of the line in public situations. Sometimes there's an overlap between that and then other kind of category that I was thinking about, but not always. The other kind of type of person I think that tends to be a little more able to step out are people that are just very artistic with an R.
But
although autistic, that's true too.
yeah, but artistic people, in order to, think about this, right? An artistic person is listening to themselves, right? Because that's where that comes out of. It comes out of your.
It's a form of expression.
It is. It's a form of expression, which can only happen if you are truly being authentic to yourself. So, yeah, there may be more of a drive because they got in touch with that at a younger age. Because I think we're all artistic to some extent, right? We're all on the spectrum of artism. Artisticism. We all have a bit of creativity. It's just, it comes out in different ways. We're not all painters. We're not all sculptors. But I think all of us have this amazing ability to be creative, but it's cut off because in separating you from your authenticity, in separating you, there becomes this cognitive dissonance. We've talked about this on the show before. There's a cognitive dissonance that happens because you're being told, hey, this is how you have to be. And then inside your body's going, well, no, but I want to be this way. And then we just kind of squashed it and, kind of like, right? So So
Mhm.
here's all my creativity, but I've got to fit it inside this box of all the rules and regulations and how I have to be. And now you're hidden. You look like all the other people that are being held in by these rules and regulations,
Yeah.
right? But the artistic person's like, I'm not listening to that. I'm
Well,
gonna be
and I think
myself. This is my artsy thing.
but part of the point I think of artistic people almost needing to break the rules or push the limits is, I mean, if art was all the same, it wouldn't be interesting,
But don't you
right?
think that that's part of it though? Is that because the more you get, excuse me, the more you get in touch with yourself, the more you get in touch with your body, the more in tune you get, and the more you eliminate that cognitive dissonance, that you truly love yourself, that you are driven to. It's almost like this drive to create in whatever it is, whatever medium it is,
Mhm.
writing, acting, I don't know, there's so many different ways, but I think it does become a drive.
Yeah.
And if you're getting beaten up for it and you can't handle it, that's when the cognitive dissonance comes back in.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that body safety. Body safety has to be there. It has to be.
Well, yeah, and I think it may be that it's more culturally understood that art is by definition different. Like every if you created an art piece that was identical to something else, that's a copy, not art. Like, so almost the definition of art, not just like sculptures or something like that, but even songs. You can't use the same lyrics that somebody else used. That's copying someone else. If you're really an
Mhm,
artist, you're expressing something new and different. By
mhm.
default, that's what it is. So that may be why it's not quite as challenging for some people who, and I'm not just saying have some arty talent, like they can do crafts and stuff like that, but if that's what they see their life being, is like they want to be a professional artist, it's got to be different. Like there's no question. And I don't think it feels as scary to them
Mhm.
potentially because it's expected to be different.
Yes, and I'm also thinking, it just hit me that because keeping everybody under these rules and regulations and sameness conformity, it makes us all more controllable, right? We've
Hmm.
we've talked about
For
this. It makes us
sure.
all more controllable. We're more
Yep.
susceptible to rules and regulations. We're more susceptible to not only follow those rules and regulations, but also enforce them on other people. Uh, but we've just said, being artistic, being artsy, um, and creative, by definition, makes you different, makes you stand out, right?
Hmm.
Brings out more of your authenticity. It actually builds it strengthens that authenticity. So thinking about that, it makes me wonder if that isn't why art programs started disappearing from schools.
Mm.
Art programs, music
Yep.
programs,
Yep.
and now books. We're
Yeah. Don't even
eliminating
read.
books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that isn't a big part of it. I know the books is, but I
Yeah.
had never really put together the whole arts and music thing because, of course, the reason we were given is there's just not enough money in school.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I had never thought about that. This might be one of the reasons why that was taken out because it
Yeah.
was building too much creativity and
Free thinking
artistic
and
expression, free
yeah.
thinking,
Yep.
authenticity, feeling like, yeah, I am different and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's not what the government in general wants, doesn't,
Hmm.
because you can't control a populace that all thinks differently from each other and is okay with that.
Right.
How do you control that?
Exactly.
How do you make people be fearful? How do you make them do things?
Yeah. Yeah. And I even remember in high school, I mean, I enjoyed art class, and I was actually more frustrated with things like English class, where we'd have to read a book And then you had to try to, answer questions about, well, what did the author mean by this? And I thought, how the hell, these authors have been dead for 100 years. And who's to say that what you think they meant is more accurate than what I got out of it? Like it always bugged me that even in terms of reading something, they wouldn't allow any much free thinking when it came to like, well, the test on this book, you got to know what the author meant and what kind of thing. Like that bugged the shit out of me in high school. But I never felt that way in art class. If somebody did like a painting or something, like, oh, what do you think they meant by this? Oh, that's what it means to you? Beautiful.
Yeah. Because the only person that knows what they meant by that is the artist themselves.
Right. And
Yeah,
it may have changed as they were doing the art.
Mm-hmm. And writing, certainly in art. And so that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that because people do that with music too. What did the writers mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
I love when I'm wrong about what I think they mean. And you go back and you're like, that's about cocaine? What? Nikki, don't lose that number. That was about Mary Jane. That was about weed? What?
The lyric that gets under my skin more than anything else that I'm like, I don't believe a single person, and we'll never know because Michael Jackson's dead. But the whole mama say, mama sa, mamakusa thing, what the fuck?
I don't know, but it's fun to sing.
Something like that. Yeah, like I just loved that it didn't mean anything, and that's what it sounded like. Mama say, mama sa, mamakusa. But then when people came in and started saying, no, what he's actually saying is, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm not going to stop. And I'm like, well, that just blows it all out of the water.
Yeah,
I don't even like that.
It's mama say, mama sa, mamakusa.
Yeah, fuck that.
It'll always be that. Because that's how I enjoy your art.
Exactly. And that's what's important to me.
That's right.
Like, but yeah, I mean,
funny.
If you think about it, even, I know we're talking about kind of the balance of trying to fit in to feel safe about and not show your uniqueness. Yet on the other side of the scale or of the spectrum, I guess you'd say, is there are many famous people that are eccentric as fuck. And it's like, oh, but that's okay because they're famous or they're rich or whatever. And so when you look at that,
isn't that a crazy double standard?
Well, but part of that still ties down to, well, are they safe? If their differences, their uniqueness has gotten them to the level of success or fame or whatever that they've gotten, then it must be okay. Like as long as it's proven that they're safe, once they've exhibited this uniqueness, then that's okay. That's still safe. You know what I mean? Like that's one perspective on it. Another thing though is that they would have the resources when you are famous or wealthy or successful, you have the resources to sort of protect yourself, even if you're maybe not as safe from criticism and stuff like that in general. You have the safety net underneath you because you have the fame and the money and the resources to have a security team or to have, all these people that can kind of keep you safe from either physical threat or the people that, whether it's on the internet or people that might try to come at you in person or whatever, either making fun of you or however they might try to hurt you, you still have your team of people that can kind of protect you from that. So there's kind of there's sort of a double-edged thing there where it can imply safety because of the fame. And that's one reason I think that society as a whole isn't as judgmental of the uniqueness of famous people as it is people that haven't demonstrated that they have that kind of protection. And they're just a regular Joe.
But let's back engineer it for a moment though, because we're saying that once you become famous, that your quirkiness, your strangeness, your differentness is okay to the general public. There's always outliers, but to the general public, you become acceptable in whatever quirkiness you are. And I know we came up with we were talking, we had a few examples, like Lady Gaga is one of them, although I think she's always been kind of out there. But she
falls into that artist category for me, where she was eccentric.
She was always.
Yeah.
But I believe, and I didn't verify this. Who are we talking about? Sam somebody?
Sam Smith?
Sam Smith. It seemed to me that the more famous he got, the more authentic he became. People were saying, "Oh, he changed." I'm like, "No, he's just being his authentic self. He just wasn't being his
Mm-hmm.
authentic self before."
Mm-hmm.
And if we reverse engineer this, right, because it doesn't mean that everybody loves you,
Right.
right? So Lady Gaga, Madonna, Oprah, pick famous people. It doesn't mean everybody's going to like you. You're still going to get criticism,
Yeah.
right? But there's this general, well, hey, yeah, you're cool, or I definitely resonate with you. The more authentic you become, the more I'm resonating with you, and so I'm definitely a fan. And if you reverse engineer this, though, and you are a business owner, business person, well, then if being your own most authentic self gets you the best fans, gets you the most supportive fans, then wouldn't it make sense to be your most authentic self now in this moment and face the same criticalness that you would get up here, right?
Mm.
At your height of your, why not start facing it down here, actually find your fans and get there quicker? I mean, to me, it just makes logical sense if we back engineer it.
That's I think the story of Lady Gaga. I think her
Yes.
being eccentric and her unique self, she got the, what are they called? What are her fans called?
Oh,
There's a name for her fan
I
base and I
know
can't think
there
of it
is, and
now.
I can't think of it either.
Little Monsters or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Or,
that's it. That's it. Little Monsters.
yeah.
Little Monsters. Yeah.
So she found her crew or her tribe, and that's what
By
really.
being herself
Yep.
early.
Yep.
And so she faced that fear, and most likely because she had stuck with her artistic self, artistic self. Just like Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish has always been very, very uniquely herself. And yet look how successful she is so young. I mean, it gets demonstrated over and over and over again.
Yep.
And yet I come across business owners all the time that feel like they can't be that. I can't be that yet. I can be it when I get to here.
Yeah.
Well, how long? So now you're going to wait until you get to here. And now it's going to take you longer to get there because you're not being authentic. Anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah. And that also kind of brings up the concept that you may also hear more from business leaders than from like artists, the idea of fake it till you make it.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So there are some people that will, and you can even look at that two different ways, faking it as if you are sort of the norm until you make it, and then you can be yourself. Or you can, what's the other side of it? Fake it till you make it in terms of faking as if you have the popularity to justify being unique, or that you have the confidence to be your unique self, and then just hoping that they follow and your tribe finds you. So there's kind of two directions that you can look at that. But I think that's something that probably comes up more on the business side of things than it would maybe in the artistic world. For some of the reasons that we already talked about, like art is expected to be different. So,
well, not only that, you have a built-in community of people that support you, understand what you're going through, understand when, and it's similar in a way when we talk about it that way, that there's a built-in community to support you in your artistic expression, your creativity.
Yeah.
It's very similar with pride. When I came out of the closet, yes, that authenticity, me being my authentic self in that respect, caused a lot of rifts because people did not want me to be. They were very happy with me staying there in the closet. And coming out really caused a lot of issues. But there's also a built-in community. There's a built-in community that you step into where people are like, we understand. We
Mm-hmm.
understand your losses.
Yeah.
You're going to have more losses. Here, we're going to help you to face your losses. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to help you face things moving forward. And so you end up in this wonderful community. And I think that that's one of the reasons it's so difficult. And I'm just really solidifying this right now in my head as we're talking, that in business, if you're in business and trying to grow your business, and if you are not in a community that supports your authenticity, if you're not in a community that can take care of you and go, okay, I see you stepping out here. Here are some of the things you're going to face. Then you're doing it all by yourself. And can you imagine these artists, all by themselves? I mean,
Yeah.
it's difficult to grow. Could you grow? Sure, absolutely. But the advantage of that community, I think, is a part of that safety
Yeah, that's true.
that we're talking about, that you gain from getting the famous and the money and the success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think community is such an integral part. And I think in America, I don't know about other countries. I live here. But in America, I think we have lost so much of that community. And to me, it's very different. When I went to Italy, it was so different. There's such a sense of community, at least in Rome where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just don't see a lot here. Even the way we make I'm going off a little tangent here, but even the way we make our communities, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have bedroom communities, but they're not communities. It's just a piece of land that has, properties on it. And they're
Mm-hmm.
not even made to walk around. I mean, that's how we meet people, is by walking and having meeting places. In Italy, and I know I keep talking about Italy, but in Italy there were these places where were meant for people to come together. The areas are made so that you get out of your place and you get out and you talk to people. Even the restaurants, you eat outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating, the difference. And
Yeah.
I think it's something that we are in deep lack of here.
Yeah. Well, and I have not been to Italy myself, but we've been watching the Stanley Tucci series on Netflix
Oh yeah,
lately,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Finding Italy or whatever it's called. And it's so interesting. I've really enjoyed watching these. We haven't watched all of them. We've watched all of season 1. We started season 2. The different attitudes of Italians in different regions.
Yeah.
Because there's very much community for their local region. There's also a lot of judgment
Oh, sure.
other regions.
From region to region. Yeah, sure. Sure.
Yeah. Like they're almost like, I mean, I don't know how many professional sports types of leagues and stuff they have in Italy, but it reminded me of the way professional sports divides the U.S. up in terms of fan bases. You love your team and you can't stand the other team. They don't do anything right. They cheat. They don't, all that stuff. And just the idea, because some of it was based on obviously just what's available in that region in terms of what they
Sure,
cook. Because
of course.
most of the show is about the food in different regions, but he talks a lot about the culture too. Some of it is tied to the food because, like you said, that's how they commune. Quite often, they get together at some sort of cafe or restaurant or whatever. But they definitely have a lot of words to say about people that do things differently or in other regions. And that's not real. That's not right. Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
There's one other avenue I just kind of wanted to explore before we wrap up, because I know we're getting towards the end of at least 3/4 of the way through our hour.
Mm-hmm.
Is and it's not even just in business, just in general. It's particularly prevalent in business, but in general, men aren't shamed for this the way women are. there still is some of it, but you can see men taking forays into being their authentic self all the time. And I
Yep.
think part of that comes from not only because that's just the way the system's built, but men are allowed to be visible, to be seen, to be liked, they're encouraged to be themselves, especially if they're going after power
Yep.
or if they are powerful.
Yep.
But if a woman is powerful, then she's a bitch. If a
Yep.
woman is powerful, she just needs to calm her shit down. Who does she think she is?
Yeah.
And so a woman in general, tries to gain visibility through being likable. I used to get this all the time. Deidre, you are just so nice. So nice. And which is one of the reasons I think I hate the word nice now. Because to me, it just triggers a time when I did everything I could to try to fit into that nice umbrella so that I could be seen, so I could be liked, so I could be appreciated, so I could
Mm-hmm.
advance. And all it did was advance me inside of a box.
Yeah.
And didn't get me what I wanted, which was to express my personal power. And that was too scary for me because it wasn't nice.
Right.
So I think that's an
And from where
interesting
you
thing for.
were, it wasn't
Mhm.
accepted.
No,
Right.
gosh, no, definitely
Yeah.
not accepted.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
So there was
Definitely
definitely a sense of fear in terms of things are going to change if if I end up stepping into my authentic self where I am right now.
not.
Life is
Mhm.
not going to be the same.
Yeah. And that can be really scary for people, but it is one of the most empowering things that you can do. Absolutely one of the most empowering things you can do.
Yeah, and as you're talking about the difference between like men sort of being allowed to step out and try different things more so than women, the thought that popped up for me, and I'd love to do some research on this, although I'm not sure even how to ask the question.
Hmm.
It seems to me, or it feels to me, like men can go through multiple bankruptcies, and it's sort of just like, oh, okay, well, that's just a strategy.
Yeah.
You claim bankruptcy and then start over, and you're just protecting yourself. That's all that is. Not so sure. I don't even remember hearing about women go through bankruptcies, to be honest with you. I'm sure it's happened, but I don't think it happens as often. Or
Well,
if and when it does happen, it is not viewed the same way. It's viewed as a failure.
it's very shameful. I went through a bankruptcy. I declared bankruptcy. It was quite a few years ago, and I was in my 20s. And yeah, it was interesting because there were people around me, mostly women, who saw it as a failure. And I had men around me that were like, this is going to help you to start over. And it's really interesting. And so I didn't talk about it with people because I didn't want to be shamed for my bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even though, businesses do it, right? They have a restructuring bankruptcies but yeah, that's really interesting. The
It's
shame
definitely
that's
looked
built
at
around that.
differently, I feel like, from
Oh yeah. It's a
the two
failure
perspectives.
if you're a woman, you have failed. And
Yeah.
you should feel horrible for claiming bankruptcy and these people aren't going to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And another thing that I kind of wanted to throw in there too was I feel like in order to shift this so that it becomes more acceptable or comfortable for people to be their unique self and then their authentic self, it's really, I think, going to take like a communal mind shift. And it would include looking at things beyond just the surface level, beyond just, oh, are they successful or not? If they're successful, sure, they can do whatever they want. Like we need to go a little deeper than that in terms of what's important.
Well, yeah, but as long as the patriarchy is in charge, white supremacy rules,
And
um,
capitalism is
and yeah, as
the
long as
reign.
those are in place and revered by society, and the rules are followed by those, for those, then we're stuck in this place. We're just battling. We're all battling to get out of the box.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is. I think it is a mind shift, and I think we've been doing this mind shift, which is why I think we're having this big backlash now, from capitalism, from the patriarchy, from
Yeah.
men in power, from racists who are like, oh my gosh, we're being shoved out, and we like being racist.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
and
racism
yeah,
is a perfect example of wanting things to be unilateral, right? Like no color other than white. So everybody, if you want to fit in, if you want to be part of the cool kids, you got to be white. That's like the most superficial and obvious way to divvy up people. And I saw a thing. Did I send that to you? I think I
yeah,
did.
you did. It was excellent.
Yeah, it was this whole discussion about how the white race didn't exist
No,
until like Europeans started to figure out, wait, we're killing each other off. We're dwindling the number of people. How can we stop this? Let's make a common enemy. Like, okay, well, we can all band together and say, let's see, what's the common denominator? Oh, we're all white skinned. So let's band against the dark skinned and make that the fight now instead of, because I mean, certainly it made sense that what this guy was saying in the video. Countries in Europe were fighting each other, but they were all predominantly white countries. So it wasn't a racial thing. It wasn't white versus black.
nope.
And that did kind of answer the question, because there was something I was filling out in the last month or so, that there was a thing about race and then a separate thing about ethnicity. And I remember Jason saying, what do you think the difference is supposed to be between race and ethnicity? Like, why are there two different questions? And I'm like, I don't know. But I thought, oh, that kind of makes sense. That's why race came up. Other than that, you could just go with ethnicity and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, man, a lot to unpack there. But you know, again, in doing all this, thinking about what we're going to talk about on the show, and how do we help people break out of that, or how do we help change that? It's kind of inspired me, and I'm trying to gear the stuff I'm doing in my business a little more to creating standard recordings that I think would be helpful for people in general.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the years I've been in business, I've been such a proponent of doing custom recordings so that it speaks specifically to what that person needs to overcome within their subconscious. But now I'm starting to see, man, there's a lot of potential to do kind of standardized recordings just to help shift a mindset.
Sure, because there are there are people who have done work who just sit there and go, you know what, I just have trouble with this one thing, and that's what they need. Is somebody like you who has a general one, who maybe they do a general one and they go, okay, I want to get a customized one now. So I think that's brilliant. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we did talk last week. I think I had mentioned that I was going to do a 4 agreement one based on the book, The 4 Agreements.
Mm-hmm.
That is available now on that hypnohuddle.com webpage.
Oh, yay.
And so this is just another idea. I'm going to try to knock out like at least a couple a month. I may even get to the point where I can do like one a week or something like that. But I do have several ideas for things that I think would be good, broad audience type of topics, at least for a hypnotic recording, so that we can get some positive vibes going in a good direction for more people. It's a good way to reach out and make a change that feels positive. Awesome. Yeah.
I do want to end with, let's see, we've got a couple of things here. We have a quick video. It's called I'm Not for Everyone. So hang on, let me put this one up real quick. Okay, nope, wrong one. Show on the stage. There we go.
I don't give a shit about judgment. You've never, even like from the very beginning of just being vulnerable and sharing whatever. Like,
I'm not for everyone. I've told my kids that all the time. I had the thing with Emily when She went and stayed with my mom for a few weeks because she was in trouble as a teenager. And she came back and she's like, Grandma doesn't really like you very much. And I'm like, baby girl, I'm not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. But the people that I am for, they ride hard for me. And that's okay. So I don't mind being the person that people want to judge. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. If you don't like the channel, change it.
Yeah. And you know what that reminds me of, just in terms of culture? I feel like I hear a lot more Latinos talk like that, or Latinas, actually. I hear a lot of Latin women with that kind of confidence. Like, you know what? You can take it or leave it. This is who I am, and that's what I'm going to be.
Yeah. And isn't that great? And I think that's definitely a cultural thing, women teaching women. And we need a lot more women teaching women and communities of women teaching women here.
Yeah.
And anyway, let me throw in the challenge of the week.
Yeah.
You don't have to be famous to be free. You don't. You don't have to be famous to be free. And you do, however, in order to do what we just saw that woman doing, you do have to consider your own opinion more than others. You do have to care more about your peace than other people's peace. And people are like, well, that's just selfish. That's just rude. No, because if I'm taking care of myself, then I'm surrounding myself. I'm only allowing people in who also are concerned about my space. And hence I'm concerned about your space, and we're caring and respecting each other. If I can't respect myself, it makes it more difficult for me to respect other people. Ooh, okay. So it's the happiest thing you could do this week. Try this. What can you do this week that makes your inner child happy? What is it? What is it that you've not been doing that you could do this week for your inner child to make your inner child happy? So let your authenticity come out, and try that. Give that a try.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to close out with a little craziness, because this is the world we live in right now. So we know that Elon Musk and Trump are just, everything's falling. Did that not just...
Speaking of two, like, weird fucking dudes, these guys, they are going to tear each other down. That's actually, I was actually somewhat happy to see this the other day, because I'm like,
I was like, I want to pop some popcorn. I want to pop some popcorn and just look at them talking to each other.
Exactly. Like, their egos are so fucking huge that they don't give a shit. They don't even realize that they're outing each other on all these issues. And most of us on, like the left side have been aware of these things for a while, but I think it's actually opening the MAGA people's eyes. They're going, wait, what? Like, yeah, this is what we've been telling you the whole time.
When he was like, and he's Trump is in the Epstein files. We're like, duh, we know that.
There's pictures all over the damn place of those two together.
We know.
Exactly.
So anyway, you want to fight back? Let's do it. June 6th is D-Day. And
that's
at state count. Is that today?
Yeah.
Holy cow, it's today. So sorry. Today. So at your state, county, city government buildings, there may be some things going on tonight. So if you missed today, which I obviously did, maybe they may be doing something tonight. But please keep in mind June 14th, because what's happening June 14th? Tell me, Jenny, what's happening June 14th?
It's No King's Day. So that's the day that, I guess, this is
Trump's
not the
birthday.
most important part of that day. Yeah. I mean, it's his birthday. That's the least important part of that day as far as I'm concerned.
Important.
But it's when he decided, it's also, I think, the anniversary of the Army or some shit. So he decided that he wants to throw himself a military parade for his birthday at a price tag of, I think, around 92 mil of taxpayer money.
Because we can afford that right now.
Yeah, because he's got the big, beautiful bill that he's trying to push through, and that only adds to the deficit. But so there are people that have indicated that they will be in D.C. trying to stop that parade from happening in a peaceful way. So it will be interesting to see how far they're willing to go and how well that works. But for most of us, obviously, we're not going to be in DC on the 14th. So go to, honestly, I believe one of the best places to go to find out where you can do your local demonstration. You can either check out mobilize.us or go to 5050.1 to find all the more local protests to you, and just see where you're able to go and show your support, demonstrate. And, I just love, one of the things I enjoy seeing when I look at all the different pictures from these different protests are the creativity that people have when they come up with their posters or their t-shirts or whatever.
Brilliant.
That's one way to let your freak flag fly. Like, come up with some creative, funny thing.
Yeah, how fun is
put
that?
on a poster and take it to one of these peaceful protests and allow your uniqueness to stand out.
Yeah, and make sure you sign up for strike, generalstrikeus.com. When we reach the American people reach a certain percentage point of people that have signed up for this, we can go ahead and do a general strike, which will probably be the most powerful thing that we can do in this country to stop this fascist government.
Although at the rate he's going, Elon may be doing enough powerful stuff, right, with his X's or whatever they're called now.
He banned Trump from X, from Twitter.
So he
banned his account.
That's another thing that's hilarious. So Trump is coming at him from his social media platform, and then Elon's sparking back from his social media platform.
This is not normal. If anybody is out there going, well, this is just how politics is. No, it's not. This is not normal. This government isn't normal. These people aren't normal.
No.
And again, I don't have a problem with them not being normal. I have a problem with not normal being in government. I have a problem with anyway, I could go on and on about all the things I have problems with this government, because with Trump at the helm, people's rights are being taken away. The deficit's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. People are being hurt. People are going to die.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Yay, fun. Next week. Thank you so much for being here with us this week. Next week, we're exploring the power of pride and overcoming shame. So please join us. This should be very interesting. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, follow, share, do the things. We really appreciate it. Share with a friend that you think would enjoy hanging out with us as well. We'd appreciate it. If you have a topic, question, or want to be a guest, go to our website, unleashedafpodcast.com. Go to WWJDD, What Would Jenny and Deidre Do? And we will get your information. Okay.
Something like
that.
Fill out the
thing. Fill out the thing. We'll look at it.
Be different. Be unique. Be yourself.
Let's just go. And you know what? You're not too much. You are not too much. You're not broken. The system is. The system is broken. But you can step outside of it and you can be uniquely you, get unleashed, and keep going. We're right here with you. And until next week, peace. I don't know why I said that. Bye.
I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be